Welcome, everyone. We're here today to talk a little bit about predictive analytics and how that will shape the future of oil analysis and the importance of how that impacts maintenance and reliability. I'm Bennett Fitch with Nori Corporation, and today I'm joined with Lisa Williams with Ametek Spectra Scientific. Thank you for coming, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
So she's here to help talk a little bit about this important topic on predictive analytics because Ametek Spectra Scientific is involved in developing oil analysis equipment for on-site oil analysis laboratory, and they have also a software that helps bring all this together. But I want to hear more about your take on the industry and where you think this is headed. What's the future with innovation on oil analysis?
Oil analysis is really just a piece of the condition monitoring puzzle, and it's a critical one. So, oftentimes we're finding it paired with things like vibration analysis, or folks may say, oh, I'm running vibration analysis. I don't really need to have this oil analysis part. But oftentimes they really fit together quite nicely and become part of a critical piece of that overall condition monitoring program.
Yeah, it's absolutely the case. It is a piece of the puzzle, but an important one, the lifeblood of a machine. Now, traditionally, most people think oil analysis is sending a sample off to a laboratory, and that's definitely the case. But it's not the only way you can do oil analysis. So what are some ways we could consider the limitations with the traditional approaches there, and where some of the experiences you have innovated that over time?
Yeah, absolutely. So and I have worked on the bench for 11 years. I worked in a third-party lab for many years, so I do appreciate that side of the business, really, and there's things there that are very valuable pieces to the oil analysis puzzle. So I will say that. But the on-site piece of this is critical in a number of ways. So the time part of it is really critical. So being able to really have a piece of oil analysis equipment, whether that be a viscometer or a spectrometer or a device that looks at the physical properties of the lubricant, the water, those sorts of things, the acid number. And being able to have that right at your fingertips can be really helpful and very quickly allow you to turn that data around, look at it, understand it, give it to the person that needs it and can act on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of these terms can be scary for those who are not in this every day. Spectroscopy, what does that mean? Viscometer, viscosity, what? The challenges with understanding that is coupled by what to do with that data, how to recognize what the targets, what the alarms should be. And so you're familiar with ASTM. We both were on a subcommittee related to lubricant properties and monitoring those conditions over time. But ASTM has standards to monitor these very things. Can you talk a little bit about how that has played a role in some of this innovation?
Yeah, so ASTM has a standard that is specifically developed for looking at the statistics and helping to set alarms for in-service oil analysis data. So I didn't even know that until I really started getting involved with ASTM quite heavily. And it's extremely helpful. And being able to use historical data to understand, what is the history of the oil data on our specific piece of equipment? How can we use that data to help us set alarms is really helpful. It's the most common question I get is, what alarm should I be setting for water, particle count, iron? What are those? What should those values be? Well, let's use data from the past to dictate how we're going to set those alarms going forward.
I think you've used a term before that resonated well with me, was alarm fatigue. And I think, you want to share about that, because I think there's a good analogy you had to kind of explain the challenges that people can have there. Yeah.
So alarm fatigue is real, right? It's not just in oil analysis, but it's in our everyday lives too. So just a quick story. I just bought a new car and it has alarms all over the place. And when I pull into my garage, my trash can sets off my alarm on the right-hand side every single time. Well, what do you think I do with that?
You turn it off, right?
I turn it off, I ignore it. And the same concept can be applied here is, if we're alarming too much, we're going to start ignoring. And that leads to nothing getting done, which is not going to be helpful at the end of the year when we need to report out what our oil analysis program has done for our organization.
Yeah, I think that is definitely an innovative step in shaping the future of oil analysis, is making sure that what's presented to the individual who's monitoring this data and trying to make the right corrective actions. We're inundated by information all around us every single day. So we don't want to be presented with something that doesn't provide us value. We want to catch things that are important to us. And sometimes we're not really sure how we're justifying this. Or maybe considering an investment in on-site oil analysis equipment, let alone a software that can manage that. What are some things you can share with those listening, how to explain this to their management and where the benefits and the value come from?
Yeah, so I would say the kind of the easiest place to start is looking at failures. And I think you used the term, don't waste a failure. You want to learn from it.
Don't let it go failure to waste.
Love it.
Yeah.
And you want to understand where that came from, why it happened. Was it oil analysis related? That's a kind of a key thing. Was it oil analysis related? And understanding then at that point what happened, and then looking and kind of working back and saying, well, what data would have helped us understand and get ahead of that failure. That failure could have been critical. It could have been a safety issue, God forbid. It could have been millions of dollars of loss. But it also could have been a series of smaller failures that added up. And all of those matter. And you want to understand that when you're going and trying to understand what that ROI is going to be for that investment.
Yeah, when machines do experience a functional failure or catastrophic failure, oil analysis is often central in the root cause analysis stages, like a post-mortem analysis, any kind of autopsy, let's say. They often do blood analysis to figure out what was going on and to the person that experienced that recent event. Same thing with machines. The oil is flowing throughout, so if there's something, whether it's the oil that's at fault or if the oil just has information to tell you what's at fault, it's still a critical piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to be ready to not just take our intuition and make these decisions. We need to also allow there be some intelligence behind it, with AI powering some predictive understanding what's happening. So as we finalize a few things here, do you want to share what TrueView 360 is doing to help innovate in this area? And then we'll make some final comments there at the end.
Yeah, so TrueView 360 is really helping to overcome these lagging indicator kind of things that we would address in a root cause analysis, getting ahead of looking at, hey, what is the limiting factor that's causing problems with this oil? Is it a wear problem? Is it a contamination problem? And before we get to that point of failure, understanding, okay, should we increase our sampling frequency, or should we be addressing a specific data point to help us prolong the life of the oil? Should we not be sampling as often, save some money that way as well? Those are the kinds of things that predictive analytics are really taking us in that direction of helping us manage oil analysis data a little bit more effectively.
Well, I appreciate that insight, Lisa, and thank you for joining us on this video. If anyone listening would like to learn more about Ametek Spectra Scientific and their products for oil analysis done on-site, along with the software to help bring this together and properly help you establish your alarms, your limits, and track that over time, please visit the link below. So once again, thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.